Welcome to Heritage Acres Homestead. I'm Chas. Here you'll find our family as we strive to live a life that pleases the Lord. We do our best to make the most out of what we've been given, so we'd like to invite you to come along and join us on our journey. Hey y'all, and welcome back to Heritage Acres Homestead. I'm Chas, and today we're going to make one of my family's favorite treats, or sometimes I'll make them for breakfast, and it is a sourdough banana chocolate chip muffin. And it's going to feature, of course, my beloved sourdough starter that I call Paul Hollywood. And I fed him last night before bed, and he's had time, and he's risen, and he's active. I think he's probably getting close to falling right now, which is fine because this recipe is mainly called like a discard, which means your starter does not have to be super active. You could pull it from the fridge and use a discard for this recipe, or you can use it like me. He's still got activity in him, but he's not at the peak of his, I guess the peak of performance right now. If you were going to make a bread, you would want to get him when he's started rising, but not peaked out. Because then you're going to get even more of a rise in your bread. Okay, I want to hop on here and just video right through the computer for a minute and say a little something that I didn't elaborate on in the beginning. When there are a lot of trains of thought when it comes to sourdough. I'm not telling you I'm the know-all, end-all, be-all. I'm just telling you how I do it. Upon some research, I've seen where some say a discard is not even ready until it's 7 days or 7 days old, that's been stuck in the fridge, that it's gone through this process. Maybe technically that's true. But I have been doing what I do for 20 years or more, and it works okay for me. Now, you take that with a grain of salt and do with it what you will. But I just wanted to come on here and add that little tidbit in, because if you go researching it, and I'm sure there's people out there that know whole lot more than me. And that's great and fine. I'm just telling you, this is what I've done. And if I feed Paul my sourdough and I pull from him 6 hours later, 10 hours later, 36 hours later, it's okay. I don't have to stick it in the fridge for 7 days, in my mind, for it to be a discard. There again, you take that however you will, but I just wanted to say this is my opinion and this is how I do it. For an active starter recipe, you would want to use it while the starter is rising or when it's risen. But after that, that's when I consider discard. All right, we'll get back to it. For these, being that they're just a discard recipe, you're actually adding another raising agent. We're going to use some baking soda, and it's going to help to raise those muffins too. So it doesn't have to be just the sourdough raising the bread, if that makes sense. I hope it does. These are very quick to put together, very quick to make. Like I said, you do not have to ferment them, which is another reason that I keep this much sourdough going at all times, because I like to be able to pull from it and it be ready to go. Now, there will be some that say, well, the flour that you add to it is not fermented, and that is true. So there's two schools of camp here. You could take your cup of sourdough, take your flour, and ferment that mixture over, 12 hours or however long you want to, and make that a fermented flour to put in your dough, or your batter rather, for these muffins. Or you can mix it up and call it good. Now, initially when I started making this recipe, this is what I did, and this is what I normally still do, is just make it. Because I'm only using a couple of cups of flour for, I wrote it down because I didn't want to miss anything when I was talking to you. You're using a couple of cups of flour and a cup of sourdough. So, whereas you might be using 3 cups of flour if you were making a basic muffin recipe, one of those cups is going to be substituted for our sourdough. So to me, that's still getting some goodness in there. No, it's not perfect, but sourdough is good, and it, it's going to benefit you some anyways. Like I said, these are quick to pull together. Your sourdough does not have to be at the peak of performance. And especially if you're new to the whole sourdough thing, it gets your feet wet. And again, that's where I started. My bread was kind of not great, and I was still making it, but I was discouraged a little bit, but I just kept going. I started making this muffin recipe, and they were great. And so it was an encouragement to me. So yes, it's sourdough muffins. And it is. It's just, sourdough. I got a sticky table. Anyways, it's just, sourdough added to a muffin recipe. And like I said before, you can do that to a lot of your bread recipes. You can substitute some of your flour out for your sourdough. Now, I do not have a technical guide to help you do that. That is another entire subject. But I'm going to show you how I've made these muffins, and hopefully that will encourage you, especially if you started on this sourdough journey and you want something that's going to turn out, it's going to taste great, and you're going to be feeling a little more accomplished. These are a great go-to, and they only take, there's several ingredients, but they're all basics. So we're going to need some fat, some sugar, some eggs, bananas, your sourdough, flour, salt, baking soda, and chocolate chips, and vanilla. I don't know if I said vanilla. Always, it's me. I'm always going to add vanilla if it's a sweet thing. So let's get those made, because I thought today's perfect. I'll make those, and Shannon will have a nice warm muffin to come home to, because he likes to have something as a treat in the afternoons after he comes home from work. And most of the times I make these first thing in the morning, and so they're cool by the evening. Still good, but not, there's just something hot and fresh from the oven. So we'll get these made. I'll show you how to do it, how easy it is, and I'm sure you'll be making some for your own family very soon. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven. I took some butter and got that softened, because you don't want to put hard butter into your Bosch. If you have one, it could tear up the, I don't know what other word to call, but like phalanges. I know that sounds like a funny word. On it's the little grips around the top of the beater. Let me just show you. So, let me get you situated here. So on a Bosch mixer, these stick onto your base like this,
And if you're using hard butter, they will break. I've done it. So you don't want to do that. So I'm going to pour my 1/2 cup of softened butter in. And then grab my cup of sugar. All right. I'm going to get that put together and go ahead and start mixing it up. And I've told y'all before that I keep my eyes open at the grocery store for these bags of bananas that they put on sale. It's a whole bag, I mean, full of bananas. And look at the inside. The outside does look rough. The inside is still nice. It is definitely, you know, getting softer, which is perfect for banana bread or these muffins. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw 3 in there. And I've used 4. I've used 2. It all works. But 3 was what the recipe calls for. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw those 3 in there. And let the machine mash those up for me. All right, now I'm going to add my cup of sourdough. Let you see them. And a sourdough you should see all those bubbles as you're pulling on it. And again, I'm not too worried if it's a little more or a little less. It's going to be just fine. I'm also going to grab me an egg. I always crack my eggs into a separate bowl because you just never know. That's a beauty though. I'm going to drop that in and we're going to mix again, just briefly. All right. And grab my flour, grab my salt, my baking soda, chocolate chips. I'll be right back. All right, to this, I'm adding a 1/2 teaspoon of soda, baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2 cups of flour. And this is just all-purpose flour. That's it, besides our chocolate chips, but we're going to mix this up first, and then we'll add our chips. Now we're going to add 8 ounces of chocolate chips, and I only have the minis. So that is fine. And I do it a little bit less than the 8 ounces because I like to finish the tops off with some. Makes it look nicer. Those down in there. Let's go to the table and grab our muffin pan. I don't have any Valentine's cupcake liners, but that's all right. I have plenty of other kinds, and we'll use those. These actually came from Denver's baby shower when Cameo was pregnant with him. We'll use those up, last few of those. And then I bought these Halloween ones because Denver loves bugs, and these had spider webs on them, so I knew that he would enjoy those. And there's some pumpkins too, and that will be just fine also. Now, my preference to dip these is to use a large cookie scoop. And I just go in and I want to dip them about 3/4 of the way full, because I want them to come out and have a poof on the top, like you would see if you were buying something at a bakery. I want them to look nice. And usually this scoop will get just about that much in there, but sometimes I go back and add just a little bit more. Getting them this big, you're going to get a bit of that muffin top, which I like. But if you don't have a pan that is well seasoned, what you want to do is you want to get a little bit of oil and rub it around the tops of these this muffin pan, because when your muffin springs up and then kind of, you know, flops over the sides, or Dunlap, you know, have you ever heard that? So around here, we'll say you got a Dunlap belly, you belly Dunlapped over your belt or your pants, and that's what these muffins do. They Dunlap over the sides of muffin, which is a muffin top. So if your pan is not one that will release that, it's not well seasoned, then go in and just rub some oil or some type of fat around the tops so it will release. And then after you do that, fill your handful with your chocolate chips that you have left over because you didn't use your whole cup, and come in and dot the tops. It's going to give it a more finished look, plus you'll have those chocolate chips on the top. And you can do that with, you know, whatever. If you use other types of things in your muffins, you could do it with, you know, streusel or fruit or whatever. Now, fruit will burn easy if you're not careful. You just have to watch it if you add fruit on the top. But our fruit is inside and our chocolate is inside, and we just put a little more chocolate here on the top. Again, you know, just a few little things like this will take your muffins from looking kind of average to looking almost professional. And I like to use, even though this pan is good for releasing the muffins, I like to use the muffin liners or the cupcake liners simply because it's easy for the kids to handle. I say kids, my kids are big now, my grandkids, but and then I can easily put them in Shannon's lunches and whatnot. But these are gonna go into our oven. Our oven's been preheating at 350. And that's just how simple it really is. Let's get them baked. So for me, I use a stoneware muffin pan, and I really love it. I love how evenly it cooks. It does seem like it takes just a smidge longer to cook than like a metal pan, but it's just the doneness throughout. It just seems better. Anyways, and like I told you before, if you have it seasoned, it will release. This one don't have much of a muffin top, but it has a little one. Let's do this one right here. That one has more of one. But see how nice that come out. And see, when you dot the top with the extra chocolate chips, it just looks really pretty and finished. And then you can just, and when they've got the muffin liner on there, you can just pull them straight out and store them for your family for later. So this week's video is going to be a little bit short, but that's okay. That's good too sometimes. This, like I said, is one of our favorites. I've been making it for a lot of years, and we ain't got tired of it yet. So maybe you can add this one to your family's recipe box. There'll be a printable in the description. And so there you go. A quick and delicious muffin recipe that even if you're not a big banana fan, it's still extremely good. And if you're not a chocolate chip fan, you could replace those or omit those altogether. So make this recipe the way that your family likes it. If you're a super big chocolate fan, you might want to add some more chocolate chips. But I mean, usually the cup is plenty per batch. But especially if you use these minis, because they seem to just go everywhere, all in the mixture. There you go. I hope you enjoy and try this out, and I hope that you and your family enjoy these muffins as much as we do. And I just want to say thank you for being here. God bless you, and y'all take care. Bye-bye.